So, yeah, I'm cutting out a little bit. Someone asked if someone's committing a lot of code. It's a possibility that uses upload. I know when we have to submit a update for review, I do hog our upload because it's uploading 30 megs. But I don't think, hopefully no one's uploading anything that large. I think it'd be a suggestion from the chat for a fungal cavern base. I think it'd be a little too soon to do that. When we do add items or equipment that helps you in a specific area, we do tend to make them a little bit older areas, and that's, I mean, to be honest, it's to be completely practical of the sheer amount of time it takes to start at novice and get all the way to the end of the game. We like to try to manage that so it's a reasonable amount of time, so that someone who starts tomorrow can, in the back of their mind, complete the game is still a reasonable goal to set for themselves. So sometimes the equipment that we add for events might buff one of those older areas within, a acceptable threshold, and that kind of just helps them complete that adventure a little bit quicker. So that still, it's not a 10-year-long commitment to get to finish all the adventures still. And I think that's something that happens in a lot of games as well, that are constantly being added onto in the end of that diminished as well. So that's sort of what I mean by acceptable threshold, or finding the right balance for that. Yeah, something like the hothouse base that kind of gives a little bit of a nudge to the living garden without completely breaking it or putting the amount of points of gold that you would earn into an absolutely ridiculous amount that for a baron. But it does help somebody just work their way through what was once a much massive adventure, just slightly kind of crushes it down a little bit. When will the rainbow maps come was a question from the chat. They will come early 2016. They will be after the Great Winter Hunt. They're pretty well all finished. They're actually sitting out there. They are live in the game. There's just no way of getting the scroll case yet. So they're pretty well ready to go, and we plan on putting those out next year, which is soon. Some feedback about law areas as well. That was during last Feedback Friday. We were asking about where you'd like to see new areas and new storylines, and law was a popular suggestion. I think we had a list of maybe 5 things that we were considering that we sort of have on our roadmap with no specific time frame. And so we're getting some feedback from hunters on what they're most excited to see next, to know what to prioritize. And law, definitely, it's a newer power type, has lots of room to add new areas. Storylines get higher level law areas where you could be earning more points and gold. So a higher level player would have a area where they could go and use a law trap, and it would be appropriate for that level. In the chat, there's lots more love for law. That is sort of, I will say that we've sort of docked that as our next really big thing that we want to work on, at least right now. So the last thing was, say, the Labyrinth. That was the last release that we wanted to commit a lot of time to get a lot of mice. Before that, I think the Sunken City probably would have been the last sort of major release, and we think of, sometimes we think of them in terms of scale, like, okay, here's a little bit of a smaller area, it's going to be fun, there's going to be new mice to collect, and then we kind of think, well, here's a more sort of epic area where there's even going to be a lot more powerful traps to find, and a lot of long-term goals are going to be there. And in the back of our minds, we're thinking law, we kind of want a slot for that, but we obviously have to allocate an appropriate amount of time to do that. So there's a little bit Draconic as well, had a lot of great feedback last Friday, and in the forum, a lot of people suggested or went with the Draconic option as well in that little informal poll. And I think at some point we will return and expand that power type a little bit. I think it might be something more suited to even a higher level area than anything we have right now. So that might come a little bit later. It was interesting, the dragon mouse was actually meant to be the end of the game at one point. We kind of thought, well, no one's going to play this game for that much longer. And so the Tribal Isles is, partly why it's such sort of an epic area where there's just so many areas and mice to do. That was supposed to sort of set up the final goal, like the last boss, if you will. That's defeating Bowser, is getting the Dragon Mouse. But a lot of people did it, and here we are several years later. All right, well, we have the trivia question. So I should wrap things up because my screensaver just turned on. That's probably indicates that I've been here a while. Yes, I have. All right, so let's wrap things up with a trivia question. We'll ask if anyone in the chat gets the correct answer, and I don't think we've stumped anyone yet because they're not particularly challenging questions, but hopefully they're fun questions. And Larry will have a reward. So the question this week is, what year was the Double Diamond Adventure Trap released? And I mean, by sheer guessing alone, this should be fairly easy to get. But who's going to get the answer right first? Let's see. 120 is not right. That was a long time ago. I don't even think computers were around there. I don't know. I might have to fact check that. 2010. Someone got the right answer. Several people. A barrage of years are coming out. 2010 is correct. It came out, of course, as part of the Great Winter Hunt event, and that had a toboggan theme, although the event did not have a toboggan theme. So a little bit of nostalgia. You'll have a chance to pull out that trap if you have it from 5 years ago and fly down toboggan hills. So there is a reward link now in the chat. And if you're watching this recorded, if you head to the tavern section of the forums, there'll be a summary there, at least for the next week. There will be a summary posted there, and I will also have the reward link posted there. Someone's asking a question, will that trap have a special effect in this event? We don't have any specific plans right now, but if we can think of something fun and or cute to do with it, maybe, but nothing, event breaking. But it would be kind of neat, I think, if it did a little something just for nostalgia's sake. It was the best hydro trap in the game for quite a long time. That kind of goes back to a topic that we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier. Was it was a little easier back then to have those sort of epic moment traps because there weren't, say, a hydro area in the game that took weeks and weeks and weeks to do, and so it wasn't as hard to kind of come up with a trap that you could earn in a week or two that would be one of the best in the game, where now there's such awesome traps in the game that it's kind of hard to make it difficult enough to earn so you don't feel like the hard traps are kind of weirdly hard to get. Because obviously the events we want, they should only take a week or two because they're not around for that long. Will we get rewards that don't take us to Facebook? We did look into that a little bit, especially in the mobile app. It's a little awkward for those Larry links when you're trying to claim them that they take you to Facebook. We hit a little bit of a technical snag, and so we've sort of put that back on the back burner. We might return to it at some point, but for now, you do need to claim them from your desktop, and they will take you to Facebook. Limited edition Rift Trap, please. I don't know about that. The Rift Traps are interesting in that the Narnia Rift is a very unique experience where you need to enter the Rift for the first time and you do not have an appropriate trap. So it might be a while before anyone finds a way of smuggling a limited edition Rift trap into the kingdom, although I've been wrong before. And had some controversial feedback in the chat, but we'll leave it at that for the time being. That's an interesting suggestion from the chat. Actually, was if you use the null gauntlet as a requirement, it would sort of skirt that little bit of an issue where if you got your hands on a rift trap before the non-ear rift, you would never kind of have that experience of, whoa, these mice are way different. But I'm sure at some point it will happen because most power types eventually get a limited edition trap at some point. Yeah, point requirement as well was another comment from the chat, and we'd use point requirements for that purpose as well. So that is another option. They need to experience hunting the Goliath. Someone asked when Ronza will be back. I don't know. I haven't seen her in a while. Yeah, come from the chat. She did about Ronza was she did secure a new source of Chrome. So as I think when Ronza left for the last time, that news post did indicate that she'll return with the Chrome MonsterBot upgrade kit. So if you're looking to get your hands on that next time she visits, she did say she'll bring that, but who knows when she'll come. Somebody has very good ears there. They hear Giorgio in the background. Yes, I think he is on the other side of that wall speaking with Brian. I think he has a task to get an old game up and running, which he is diligently going about. Any chance of obtaining nutmeg cheese this year was a question from the chat. Need it for collection. We'll consider it. The original design of the toboggan event did use every single event cheese from the entire spectrum of MouseHunt, and it was possible to obtain them all again, and they all did something different. However, as we started to play through that with all the other variables in play, that became extremely confusing very fast. So we kind of scrapped that, and it'll just be kind of one type of cheese. But we'll keep that in mind. The other festive cheese, you will be able to use them in a minor way. We usually do let you either collect the new event cheese or whatever like the primary cheese for that year is. There's a way to collect it a little quicker using gingerbread or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll keep the suggestion in mind. Someone's suggestion about buy offers that are up on the marketplace when Ronza shows up. That is, I suppose that is a little, that could be a little awkward where you could have a lot of buy offers up, and if Ronza shows up, you don't return to take your buy offer down, and now you could buy it from the shop for less than the marketplace. I don't know if there's a really good fix for that, but other than maybe foreshadowing a little bit of her coming. So that's something we'll keep in mind, but that's a little bit tricky to solve. I want to clarify, because in the chat somebody was asking, will different cheese affect how the toboggan race goes with all the different festive cheese? That was an idea in the original sort of draft of the event, but we scrapped it because it was really confusing and there was way too many types of cheese going on, so no. There will be an event cheese though, that one of the festive types of bait will be more important, but there won't be 7 different types of winter hunt cheese that you need to manage and know when to use and where. Well, at that note, it has been 45 minutes. Time flies. I remember looking up at the clock, and I think there were 25 minutes, and I thought I was almost done. Little did I know I'd go on for twice that long. Hopefully I wasn't rambling. Hopefully you found the information useful and or exciting. Thanks for hanging out with me, hunters. Next week, I don't know. I don't have any clue what's going on. That is the first Friday of a month, and it will be December by then. It will be December 4th will be next Feedback Friday. I imagine that will be a regular one unless Jacob is itching to do an art stream because he was off today. If that is the case, then you'll see Jacob. Otherwise, you will most likely see me. All right, one last clarification in the chat here, because I probably shouldn't even have said anything, but Giorgio, just for sort of technical purposes, has to get some old game up and running, but it's not relaunching or anything like that. It's just a technical thing. We need to extract something from that, so he's got to kind of track down some code and the way something works. So it's not meant to be an exciting announcement at all. I shouldn't have said anything. Misinformation will spread throughout the kingdom from here. All right, on that note, enjoy your weekend as well. Got a lot of great well wishes in the chat. Happy hunting, good luck, and either Jacob or I will see you next week.
Such a beautiful you. I am caught up in the crazy game. Look at me, barely at level 3. I just know I'll never be the same. All the mice, all the terrible mice. If I had my way, I'd catch a ton. I wait with a trap and a bait, but they ain't biting on a single one. I'm waiting on a mouse.